The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests do not state or reflect those of the movement. Sa history, marami ang nalilito kung ano ba ang tunay, ano ba ang kwento. Pakinggan natin ang mga dalubhasa. Intindihin ang kasalukuyan sa pag-aaral ng nakaraan. Tayo na't makilahok sa ating talakayan. Ito ang Historyl, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Good day to our listeners! Welcome na naman sa isang episode ng Historyl, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Ako po muli ang inyong host, si John Kevin Samson. Kasama ko po muli ang Pangulo ng High School Philippine History Movement, si Sir Jamaico Ignacio. Sir, hello!
Hello sa ating mga listeners. Mapagpalayang araw sa inyong lahat. Naway magustuhan nyo ang ating episode ngayong araw. At nakakatuwa ang ating episode para sa araw na ito.
Yes, nakakatuwa po ang ating episode sa araw na to. In fact, even in our previous episode, ako po ay nag-enjoy. And abangan nyo po ang mga updates at mga improvements sa ating mga future episodes na pag-uusapan po namin aming Pangulo. Pero ngayon, yun po ay surprise muna. Alright, so balita po muna tayo. Noong June 19, 2021, base sa pagpupulong ng leadership team, napili si Mr. Joey De La Cruz bilang bagong Executive Vice President ng High School Philippine History Movement. Binakante po ni Sir Joey ang posisyong Government Engagement Director upang gampanan ang kanyang bagong tungkulin. On behalf of the organization, we wish Sir Joey all the best to this new endeavor. Good luck and Godspeed. In a related news,
Sir Joey.
Good luck po, Sir Joey. And in a related news, tulad na nga lang aking nabanggit kanina, ang ating Government Engagement Director po ay bakante. Ang leadership team po ay nakikipag-ugnayan na sa mga eligible members para mapunan ang nasabing posisyon, and we will update you once someone takes this vacant position. At dahil na pag-uusapan na rin naman natin ang mga leadership positions, Sir Jamaico, pag-usapan naman natin kung ano nga ba ang mga kalidad ng mahusay na pamumuno, quality of excellent leadership. Alam mo, hindi na bago sa atin ang mga leadership seminars, leadership workshops, leadership trainings, lahat na ng uri ng leadership, lalo na sa ating mga kabataan. Personal experience, when I was in college and in high school, kung saan-saan ako pinapadalang mga leadership training, seminars, and workshops. One thing I remember most is when I attended the leadership seminar in Rizal, sponsored by Youth for Mary and Christ. No? Kayo, sir, anong inyong mga experiences nung kayo ay nasa high school or college?
Ako naman, nung high school ako, student council ako dati na namamahala dun sa mga clubs o orgs. So ako, mas student leader ako pero more on orgs or clubs. Sa college, hindi ako student council pero naging officer ako sa isang history organization ng aming grupo. So yung interest ko in leadership more on orgs or clubs, more on the history side. Kaya may familiarity na ako sa leadership. Yung paggagawa ng mga workshops, gagawa ka ng mga talks, makikipag-ugnayan ka sa admin, doon ka nahahasa kung paano mo asikasuhin yung responsibilities mo Doon lumalabas yung leadership Kaya nakakatuwa yung mga memories ko kasi masasabi ko, kung ako ngayon, ganito ako dahil sa mga training ko doon sa high school at sa college, nung ako yung naging student officer sa mga orgs namin noon.
And same, no? And noon, medyo hindi pa ganun ka-widespread ang ating mga communication and social media. Paano pa kaya ngayon na marami na tayong information about leadership? Nakikita na natin yung mga role models natin. hindi lamang sa Pilipinas, kundi sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Kaya ngayong araw, alamin natin kung ano nga ba para sa ating mga kabataan ngayon ang isang mahusay at maayos na pamumuno at pinuno. Upang magkaroon tayo ng masaya at makabuluhang kwentuhan, sasamahan tayo ng ating mga youth officers sa araw na ito. Ang una nating bisita ay ang Youth Planning Coordinator at Technical Administration Committee Head ng High School Philippine History Movement. Nakapagtapos siya ng Humanities and Social Sciences sa Montessori de Sagrada Familia at nagsilbi bilang unang pangulo ng Social Science Club ng paaralan. Walang iba kundi si Sean Audric Uy. Sean, hello!
Hello po sir, magandang araw po sa inyo at sa ating mga tagapakinig.
Magandang araw din. Ang pangalawa nating bisita ay kasalukuyang Youth Treasurer at Head ng Financial and Management Committee ng High School Philippine History Movement. Nakapagtapos siya ng kanyang senior high school sa San Beda University, Manila sa strand ng Humanities and Social Sciences noong 2020, kung saan siya ay nakatanggap ng samut-saring mga awards tulad ng Best in Creative Writing at ng Academic and Deportment Award. Bukod pa rito, siya ay dating secretary or kalihim ng Praxis Organization ng Social Studies Society sa Pamantasan. Ngayon ay kumukuha siya ng Bachiller ng Sekundaryang Edukasyon, major sa Araling Panlipunan sa Universidad ng Santo Tomas. Let us welcome Luke Manuel de Leon. Luke, hello!
Hello po, magandang umaga sa ating lahat at sa mga tagapakinig sa ating talakayan sa ngayong araw. Maraming salamat po.
Magandang araw din. And of course, last but not least, ang ating ikatlong bisita ay isang mag-aaral mula sa Centro Escolar University, Manila na kumukuha ng Bachelor of Arts major in Political Science, minor in Education. Kasama siya sa komite ng Social Sciences Society, isang pang-universidad na organisasyong nakatuon upang akayin ang kabataan sa kamalayan sa lipunan para sa pambansang kaunlaran. At sa kasalukuyan siya ang Youth Partnership Coordinator at leader ng Youth Public Relations Committee ng High School Philippine History Movement. Siya po ay si Lady Taytenia Ayo Pangilinan. Hello, Miss Ayo.
Hi po. Kamusta po sa inyo, Sir Kevin, Sir Michael? Thank you for having us po.
Alright, hello din. Kumusta? And kitang-kita naman sa mga, dun pa lang sa pagpapakilala ko, mukhang marami na masabi ang ating mga youth officers na to regarding leadership. Kaya mukhang simulan na natin ang ating pag-uusap, no? Pero siguro yung umpisa lang natin na tanong, no, para lang malinaw. Meron tayong kumbaga base, no, yung grounds, no? Ano ba yung mga qualities na hinahanap ninyo sa isang leader?
I'll go first na po, ladies first.
Okay, sige, ladies first.
Thank you po. Well, para po malaman po kung ano yung hinahanap kong klaseng leader or anong mga qualities ang I think meron ng ideal and compatible leader for me, I have to find out what kind of member, what kind of follower I am, and the kind of relationship I want to have with that kind of ideal leader. I am an inquisitive person. Lagi po akong nagtatanong, lagi ako nagpapa-double check and nagpapagay because I want to be careful sa mga things na trusted sa aking kamay. And personally, I include my leader sa ginagawa ko as compliment po. Kasi, just my way po to show to that leader na I acknowledge and appreciate yung leadership niya. So, super important po para sa akin na yung leader na yon ay approachable and really accommodate me. And of course, a leader that is approachable has to be a good communicator. Dapat po he or she listens and does not neglect to respond. Nakikinig po at tumutugon, of course. So that kind of leader makes sure na yung mga nasasakupan niya, inaasikaso po niya at hindi napapabayaan. That leader is hands-on na to the point he or she build connections sa mga kasamahan niya. Just to make sure na everything is handled the right way and in the right time. And that connection na binibuild po ng leader na yon ay hindi lang para sa kanya, but every member should feel na connected sila sa each other. So the whole environment po of this team ay open to inquire and give generously information, open to ask, and open to assist din. So in that case, nagiging admirable influencer po yung leader na to. Kasi yung good attitude niya, yung leadership niya, naiiwan, hindi lang naiwan sa kanya, kundi pati sa mga team na nararadiate sa lahat ng nasa kupa niya. And how great it is to see a community full of helpful people, di ba? It is actually the greatest act of leadership. All this leadership po, all these leaders na nag-arise po, nag-arise sila just to aid a cause. Yung mga green community leaders po natin, ang goal nila to help the nation have eco-friendly na community para magkaroon ng better living and safer living. And we have leaders na tumutulong sa farmers and fishermen magkaroon ng maayos na pamumuhay. There are leaders who fight for the right of the children, right of the poor. Here, in this movement, we have this leadership helped DepEd to see how important the history is in preparing the students with critical thinking and nationalism to become effective citizens and problem solvers someday. So that pretty much is an ideal leader for me. Just has to be approachable, assistive, communicator, and respond in action. Hands-on influences or mentors. So parang that leader leaves a legacy. And of course, helpful. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Miss Ayo, sa inyong mga insights, no? And gusto kong ulitin yung sinabi niya, yung ano ba ako bilang isang follower, you know? So, ano ba yung gusto ko bilang isang follower? And that says a lot dun sa mga, actually nag-take notes nga ako ng ibang mga qualities na hinahanap mo sa isang good leader. So maraming salamat, Miss Ayo. Alright, so sino susunod?
Hello po.
Hello,
ako na po
Luke.
yung susunod.
Sige,
Hello
ikaw
po.
na sunod.
So, para po sa akin, yung isa po sa mga hinahanap ko sa isang qualities of a good leader. Actually, marami po ako yung nahanap. Pero I will just summarize it na lang po. So, syempre, unang-una po kailangan yung isang leader ay may integrity. Integrity kung saan dapat responsible po siya sa lahat ng mga activities na ginagampanan niya po. Which meaning to say ay, yung leader po kasi na gusto ko pong makita is yung siya yung leader na kung saan nililid niya yung mga members niya to a brighter future. Hindi siya yung leader na kung saan, okay, siya yung leader then, okay, gawin mo to, gawin mo yan kasi member kita. Dapat hindi tayo ganun as a leader. A leader should be the one who would somehow influence them na kailangan being a good leader, kailangan ang dami mong gagawin wherein you must be a good character to them. Kasi kung sa umpisa pa lamang na hindi ka good character dun sa mga members mo or bad influence ka sa kanila, what if more pa in the future kung sila na yung magiging leader? The next is yung sa ability to delegate. Ability to delegate wherein marunong po siyang magdesisyon sa mga bawat mga meetings po nila or mga problems na kinakarap sa mga organizations po natin. Although somehow po yung mga leaders din po ay somehow ay hindi din po nasusunod yung mga gusto nilang gawin dun sa movement or sa organization na meron sila or kahit maman din po sa mga kung saan po sila tumatakbo sa mga position po nila. Pero somehow you need to i-open mo yung mga tenga mo sa mga members mo kasi once na inopen mo yung mga tenga mo dun sa mga members mo, why not, 'di ba? In the end, magkaroon pa kayo ng magandang mga projects so that yung fulfillment nyo sa isa't isa dito sa organization na meron kayo ay mas maging maganda pa ito na kakalabasan at marami pa kayong makikilala at marami pa kayong magagawa mga proyekto para sa ikaw-unlad ng organization nyo. And also, kailangan din natin ng communication and self-awareness po, no? Somehow, as a leader, syempre, mas-stress ka din dun sa mga gawain. Pero somehow, being a leader talaga is somehow, nandun na din yung good communication mo sa kanila. Good communication wherein marunong kang makipag-communicate in a nice way, in a right manner na din po. Kasi ang pangit naman nun kung sasabihin mo, ay nako, etong member kong to, kunyari ako po leader, then meron akong ka-member na somehow, he or she is not effective sa organization. Huwag mong sasabihin na wala siyang ginagawa, sumali pa dito sa organization or somehow sa mga iba't ibang mga orgs around in or outside the school pero wala naman siyang ginagawa. Bale, wag tayong maging ganon. maging considerable tayo sa kanila kasi not all the times naman kasi all of our members are in a good situation. Some of them are currently in some problems na kinakaharap. Somehow you need to motivate them pa din para sa ganun ay mas makilala mo pa sila at dahil dun sa pagkakakilala mong yun, meron ka ding matututunan ng mga iba mga bagay to become a good leader. And also, yung masasabi ko na lang din o yung pinakahuling ang qualities na gusto kong makita is meron siyang courage and respect. Courage wherein kailangan maging matapang siya and respeto kung saan ang napapakita niya sa ibang tao na everything for him is para bang walang mababa, walang mataas, lahat pantay-pantay. So, ayun lang po yung nakikita kong mga qualities of being a good leader po. Thank you po.
Alright, thank you very much, Luke. Actually, maganda yung sinasabi mo na aside from telling me or telling us ano ba yung quality ng isang good leader, you're also able to tell us ano yung ayaw mo dun sa leader na yun. Kumbaga parang you have presented us these qualities by showing us in a way na ito kasi yung ginagawa ng isang leader na hindi maayos, kaya kasi wala siyang ganito, diba? Kumbaga parang yung huli nga, no, yung those leaders na they don't respect, they don't treat everyone equally, no? So maganda rin yan, no? Because sometimes we are not only looking for things we want to see, pero we also want to know ano ba yung ayaw natin in order to decide ano yung gusto natin, di ba? And Sean, I think it's your turn.
Hello po, magandang araw po ulit sa inyo. So dito po sa question, magandang araw po. So dito po sa question na to, admittedly yung style of leadership, sasabihin po ng iba na it depends daw. And they may have different cultural upbringing which could affect their style of leadership and approach sa pagsa-strategize and getting everything together. Or sometimes, sabi ng iba, it varies in given situations. But I think we mustn't be taken away from the objective traits that must be observed at all time. And itong mismong paghahanap natin ng traits ng isang leader, I think it speaks sharply against the common notion na yung age daw nag-equate sa competence and experience. And I think pwede natin ito makita sa Constitution, naglalagay dito ng isang age threshold na dapat daw ma-reach mo ni gatong age before you are able to run for this type of office. But aside from that, we still desperately find certain traits regardless of age. Because we know for ourselves na hindi porket matanda, marunong. So I am foremost opposed to the idea that age equates to experience. Makikita nga natin minsan sa pagpili po natin ng kandidato, hindi naman po natin sila nilalagay sa isang listahan and yung top 10 na pinakamatatanda, sila iboboto natin. Hindi po ganon. And there are a lot of young people who are more experienced than old people. Some old people are even either say lacking rationality and basic intellect. And they form part of the rabble who goes with the flow, who are easily swayed and minsan short-sighted and complacent. Pero don't get me wrong, a lot of young people also share the same characteristics. And in some ways, I mean ko na sa sarili ko, I myself had been irrational and was easily swayed at some point. And it is this great delusion of equating it to age na ine-eradicate natin sa pag-articulate natin kung ano ba dapat ang hanapin ng mga tao sa isang leader. So, unang-una po siguro sa lahat is a leader should be participative, communicative, and socially innovative. You know, I am really opposed to the notion that there should be a leader-follower dichotomy. Instead, I would prefer calling it as leader and member, because sometimes a leader leads not his followers, but an idea, an idealized configuration, a mindset, or a spirit that would set the members to order. So parang dinadala niya itong spirit na ito sa kanyang members. And sometimes in groups, ito yung initially na goals nila na ayusin muna yung group before they could proceed to actually realizing what they aspire for. And a leader must not only lead, he must also nurture. In a way that he empowers his own members. Dahil dito sa pag-nurture natin, you are training also your members how they would become leaders as well. You must create a stimulating environment for members, because leadership could potentially be a culture in your own group. You could potentially create an army of veterans na sanay na at experienced na sa iba't ibang mga desisyon at alam na nila kung paano dumiskarte. And this could help in actually ensuring the sustainability and the stability of a certain group, of a certain community. And this may also entail, for example, training your members how to become vocal and decisive leaders. So nothing is more important than constituting a mass that is conscious and also passionate of their vision and objectives. But aside from that, a leader must also know how to how to create healthy relationships between the members and the leadership and in the members among themselves. Dahil naniniwala po ako na yung cohesion ng isang group, ng isang community, this will fuel the will which drives the community forward strongly. Pero mahalaga rin po sa leader natin na ma-acknowledge siya o ma-recognize niya na yung nililid niya ay yung entirety and not just a select fraction of the group. Hindi porket sumang-ayon itong part na to, yun lang ililid niya at isa-set aside na niya yung other members ng kanyang group. Marginalization of the minority is a big no-no. A leader must know that he is leading to serve the common good. A leader must see the community he serves as a sum of its parts na pwede mo i-reduce sa kanyang manifold and sometimes exclusive interests. He must always be in pursuit of what could be done to protect and embody these varying needs and wants and potentially save it from what vicious cycle exists in society. And yung cycle na to, pwede natin ito makita sa isang paraan kung saan there will always be a dominating part of society that rules over another. So, kailangan niya ito ma-acknowledge. And so, ano yung gagawin niya dito? He must be systematically and structurally oriented. He must see the system. And this is a recognition that yung change at yung true prosperity ng isang group or community, it cannot be affected through appealing to human reason alone. Hindi mo naman mababago yung pag-iisip ng tao because sometimes it's already set in stone. For example, a person who believes in something, an absolute truth, but that truth is actually dependent on the culture that he belongs to or the epoch of his time. And what he must look into rather is a system. He must focus on that system which beget these reasons, this prevailing culture that antagonizes certain people, breaking them apart for the benefit of the few. Pero etong mindset na to, this should also actually be adopted by the community itself, the member itself. Dapat may mindset na sila na ini-invest nila dito to select their leaders. This is a mindset that people must invest into in selecting their leaders and understanding the dynamics of viable social change. Hindi pwedeng leader lang yung nakakaalam nito. The members must also know what qualities a leader should have. That's why I have great faith as well in this movement and its leaders who look into the system of to effect social change, into the Philippine educational system. And I think I should use this time to say that it really is an honor to serve alongside this leadership because it also gives particular importance to the centrality of participation, which is isang quality nga po na hinahanap dapat natin sa isang leader sa organization na ito. Even as far as creating a youth wing, which really speaks well that the youth is not just here for the sake of tokenism. The youth has responsibilities explicitly written in our constitution. May mga responsibilities at may position that is special for the youth wing, for the youth of this organization. And it really, I should also take this time to say that I really am in admiration at madami akong natututunan sa mga initiative din ng aking mga fellow youth leaders katulad po nila Ate Ayo, nila Kuya Ezekiel, Kuya Julian, Kuya Jero, and even Ivor. Dahil madami po silang ginawa na that extends this kind of participation. They extended youth's participation through their initiatives and sa mga projects po nila. For example, yung Ilustrado and yung intern program nila. Kaya sa audience po natin, standby rin tayo dahil you also have a crucial part in our organizations. And standby rin tayo because maybe sooner or later meron din po ulit kami mga initiatives that would cater to you. So really, keep updated with our posts sa page po natin. Second to the last po siguro, a leader must know how to espouse, or a leader must know that he must espouse to ethical leadership. He must recognize that leadership is really a double-edged sword. We could call someone a great leader, but that could be in a bad or a good way. So, ano ang kinakailangan natin dito sa leadership formula? It must have values and consistency. Hindi lang porket magaling yung leader at walang values, kino-consider na natin yon. He must not be roughshod in his approach. And he must also see morality in the meron kasi tayong parang moral development theory ni Lawrence Kohlberg, and he must be at that stage, at that very last stage, which we call post-conventional level, kung saan he no longer sees morality, or he no longer follows his moral set of codes based on law, or dahil lang gusto niya maging isang good citizen, or para lang makaiwas sa punishment, but he recognizes that there is a need for a universal moral system that he must follow and uphold. Actually, this learning on ethical leadership is really something which I greatly owe to Colonel Mike Lohico, yung barefoot colonel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but yeah, kailangan ma-espouse siya sa ethical leadership na tinatawag natin. And finally, yung trait or yung quality na dapat tinitingnan talaga natin sa mga leader is that they live by what they say and proclaim. So if one fails to do so, yung salita siya na salita pero hindi naman pala niya na-embody ito, you could judge them as a weak leader. So, iyon po siguro yung mga qualities para sa akin na kailangan hanapin natin sa mga leaders po natin.
Thank you very much, Sean, for your sharing. Oo, tama, no? And
kakatawa.
Gusto ko yung last two na sinabi niya that a leader should espouse to ethical leadership, and dapat may values and dapat consistent, and they have to live by what they say and proclaim. And salamat na rin sa iyong pagpa-plug ng ating mga youth efforts, no? Ito yung nakakatulong rin sa ating movement. So salamat sa qualities na ibinigay ninyong tatlo. It's very informative, very insightful actually. I was taking down notes. I might actually save this on a different notepad later on. So let's proceed, no? So ngayon nabanggit niyo na yung mga qualities ng isang mabuting pinuno or ng mabuting pamumuno sa yung mga in your own perspective. In your current role as youth leaders, as introduced earlier, lahat naman kayo youth leaders, not only of the movement but of your own organizations in your schools and your communities. What are the things that you have done which you think qualifies you as a good leader? Or are there things that you think you should have done differently, looking back at your previous experiences as leaders of these organizations?
Ako po ulit.
Yes, sige. Ikaw ulit, Miss Ayo.
Thank you po, Sir Kevin. So, first, nakakatakot po yung tanong kasi kailangan mong questionin yung pagkatao mo. So, well, I have listened recently sa isang book called Atomic Habits. Sabi ni James Clear, yung author, instead of writing down agad yung targets and goals mo, how about mag-start ka muna to assess yourself and determine what kind of identity ba yung binibuild mo? Bakit mo ito binugol? Para through that, alam mong may isang remarkable result na ipoproduce itong gagawin mo. So when I started to really understand how big the leadership is, and actually kahit the fact lang na I am choosing saang community po ako bebelong, inisip ko po, saan ba ako pupunta, sinong ayo ba yung gusto kong maging. And sabi ko, I want to be someone na brave and compassionate, na fighting for a cause, na of course may katuturan and long-lasting effect. And I think that what qualifies me as a leader. You know, when you say something to yourself, nagiging ikaw talaga yon. If lagi mong sinasabing, stress ako, nagiging stress ka. If you tell to yourself, mapagbigay ako, nagiging mapagbigay ka. And people around you do not need to hear you saying na ganito kang tao. They will see it eventually through your action. If you did it really, no? Sabi nga ni Sean Uy 2021, live what you proclaim. Magre-reflect siya sa buong identity mo if you do it. What you say to yourself. So, and ang goal mo na lang doon is to be consistent and do not fail the people who have trusted you and seen that potential in you. And for the follow-up question po, yes, there are things that I should have done differently. Sana mas maaga po akong naging caring for other people. When I was younger, young pa rin po ako, I always dreamed to be a strong, independent woman. And I did think, so I will have this, I will be this. It's all about me. And all I know was me. But I realized I am always inside a community and they are always around me. I need them and they need me. So I shifted to the dream of being interdependent, where I am beneficial to this world, and this world is beneficial to me. Kaya lang, sana kung mas maaga ko po itong na-realize, edi sana mas maaga akong nagtuklas ng mga bagay na helpful sa mga ginagawa ko right now. But anyway, no one is too late to learn, really. Sabi nga po ng one time when I was scrolling sa social media, sabi ng isang post doon, best time is years ago, and second best time is today. And I'm really, really glad that I am here today. Yun pa.
Thank you very much. Tama, no? It's never too late to learn and never too late to do something. Dahil lahat naman tayo natututo, lahat naman tayo nagbabago. We all grow as individuals. And I think it's only normal to have change of heart, lalo na, and especially, hopefully, for the better. So thank you, Ayo, for your sharing. Luke, I would assume ikaw ang next dahil yung sa kaninang order.
So, ayun po, para po sa akin. So, meron po kasi akong nabasang quote po nung last week about kay Warren Bennis po. I quote po, ang sinasabi niya po dun is, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. So, way back then po nung nag-senior high school po ako, then grade 12 po ako noon. So, ang dami ko pong ginampanan ng mga posisyon sa school ko po nung nasa Beda pa po ako. So, yung pinaka number one na mahirap na naging position ko po is yung naging secretary po ako ng Praxis. So, meron po kaming webinar noon. So, nagkakandak po kami ng webinar about the SDGs. So, na ano po ako din na parang na-stress. So, everyday uwi ako maaga, gagawa ko ng papel. Then, kinabukasan, hanapin ko yung mga persons na kailangan pumirma dito. Then, if may mali na naman sa papel, kailangan ko na namang baguhin na naman. So, doon ako na-stress. So, sobra akong parang, sabi ko, ano ba ito? Walang katapusan tong pagde-revise ng paper na to. So, ang daming nangyari noon. Para bang 3 weeks ata akong nagpuyat para gampanan yung responsibility ko sa secretary. Pero, nakakatuwa kasi in the end, parang pag natapos na yung project nyo, natuloy na ganyan, push na ganyan, na ongoing na yung project nyo, yun, parang fulfilling, na sabi mo, parang nawala yung pagod mo, nawala yung parang pagiging exhaust mong tao. Kasi after 3 weeks na pinipare mo lahat for this project na to, na matuloy, ayun, natuloy siya. So, sobrang fulfilling niya. And, gaya po dun sa may isa pang question, no, kung yung yung are there things that you think you should have done differently? Siguro po sobrang dami kasi during that time, hindi ako masyadong nakipag-communicate, especially pagka hindi ko ganun kasyadong ka-close, and sorry kung ganun ako dati. Kasi parang nandun yung nakakahiya, kasi minsan nasa isip ko kung sakali na, what if may masabi akong hindi ganoon kagandang suggestion sa kanila, ano kaya may isip nila, magiging effective leader pa ba ako? Ganun yung parang naging mindset ko dati. Kaya para bang hindi ako nakapag-communicate more and more sa mga members ko. And if mabigyan man ako ng time machine to go back, yun yung gusto kong puntahan kasi by communicating well to them, siguro ngayon magkakaibigan pa kami. Although may communications pa naman din kami sa isa't isa. And also, isa pa din sa mga gusto kong bigyan sa pagkakamali ko as a leader back then is yung pagiging masungit ko. Sobrang strict ko kasi, especially if nagsasalita ako, then walang nakikinig. Sobrang naging strict ako, sobrang lumalabas yung pagkatao, lumalabas yung parang totoong look na parang hindi kaaya-ayang tingnan sa kanila kasi very unprofessional na ipakita natin yun sa kanila. Kasi as a leader, you must be, para bang sinasabi natin, yung para bang professional ka eh. Kailangan ipakita mo yung mga qualities na leaders na meron ka para sa ganun, yung mga ka-members mo, matuto din sila sa'yo. And nakakamiss lang yung pagiging isang leader kasi during this time no, na lumipat na ako sa UST, so para bang konti pa lang yung mga na-achieve ko bilang a leader dito. Pero okay lang naman kasi nandito naman yung organization natin. And ang dami ko ding natututunan dito sa organization natin na kailangan nating isulong yung mga iba't ibang ma-agenda natin. I mean, yung pagiging isang leader kasi hindi yung para bang tatakbo ka, then finish line agad. Hindi ganun eh. Parang dadaan ka muna sa dagat, sa bundok para makamit mo yung inaasam-asam mo. Kasi yung pagiging isang leader is not about the power eh. It's about how you empower the people. So, that was, yun lang naman po yung mga bagay na gusto ko pong i-share dun sa tanong pong yun, na being a leader, you must be responsible enough, and being a leader, you must care about your members po. Ayun po, thank you po.
Maraming salamat, Luke, sa iyong sharing, no? And gusto kong balikan yung sinabi mo, hindi ka masyado nakipag-communicate kasi minsan nakakahiya. And that is true, no? Sometimes we don't do things dahil what if we're not good enough for them? Or more so, what if we say something wrong and ma-discover ng mga tao na mali tayo, or ma-discover ng mga tao na hindi natin alam, especially pag may mga itatanong tayo, no? And I just like to say that not only to you, but actually sa ating lahat ng mga kabataan, no? Walang masamang magtanong kung hindi mo alam, kasi kaya ka nga nagtatanong, 'di ba? It's better that you ask now kesa habang buhay mong hindi alam. And remember, for those thinking if you should do something, for as long as maganda at for as long as maayos, no? Do it. Remember, you miss 100% of shots you don't take. So, ayun lang, no? And hopefully this time mas confident ka na, Luke, para hindi ka na, para nakakapag-communicate ka na sa iyong mga fellow.
Confident naman na po, sir.
Yes. That's very good to hear, no? I believe confidence is a one good step to start, especially if you're a leader. All right, Sean, your turn.
So about this question po, siguro po kwento ko po muna yung naging experience ko po dun sa club po namin, which was at the time bagong-bago lang po kasi siya, since it was I think the first time na nagkaroon ng social science club sa school namin, and we really faced a lot of problems that we didn't expect, lalo na nasa middle of pandemic ito, and we were planning initially na magkaroon ng social science club na talagang madaming kami naging plans nung una. But the problem that we primarily faced was yung the very strict constraints na nilagay sa club namin, and usually yung announcement from our advisors na magkakaroon ng event, which the theme of which we are free to decide, was done like a week or even days prior. So talagang kailangan namin mag-adjust noon, and we really had to work on our time management, although we did manage that to relative success. And we were able to host organized events and programs. But another problem was we also faced another problem, which is yung member participation at motivation ng mga members nga po namin. So we created projects that would entice them to join in and have a bit of fun. Like yung parang art submissions nila for the quincentennial celebration a few months ago. And we also nag-provide din po kami ng platform for open communication, dahil sa tingin ko po yung communication talaga yung pinaka-crucial para po sa akin personally. Ito yung pinaka-crucial na hinge-pin ng isang organization, ng isang group, na ito talaga yung nagko-connect sa kanila, and it prevents the entire group from falling apart. But really, we figured that most of them talaga, they didn't really have the affinity towards social science, which is very unfortunate as members of a social science club. So we had to take it on our own hands and take command by hosting events that would encourage them to participate. Siguro mention ko na rin po yung sa mga normal school activities lang po namin sa class. Dahil usually po ako ginagawang nilang leader, and I really try to study kung ano ba yung nagiging problem sa mga school activities na kinakailangan sa group. So napapansin ko po kasi usually na merong mga members na talagang they don't believe in themselves, and nagiging parang hindrance ito sa group progress or sa pagiging successful na isang group, kung saan nai-alienate sila ng ibang leaders kasi nahihirapan sila. Pero sa tingin ko dapat yung gawin ng mga leaders is that they should really help those who are in need of help sa kanilang group. Kasi dapat hindi natin i-alienate yung mga ganitong mga members natin. So yung siguro main highlight ko dito is yung efforts for participation na we really tried to do, yung cohesion ng group and yung organization nga mismo on how the group should function. Sa movement naman po natin, and I think I'm speaking of this collectively, we made efforts in organizing our communication system that was conducive for building relationship with each other. Dito nag-uusap-usap yung ibang mga members natin, and it was also conducive in building cohesion among some of our youth members, and really about democratizing the public space for our youth. We saw that better communications allow for better participation, also allowing for better ways where members could really identify with the movement and find meaning in themselves as members out of the relationships that they build. So, importante nga po talaga itong yung link na na-form nila sa mismong members ng isang organization. That's how they could identify themselves with the advocacy, with the community. And we have also, bureaucracy-wise, created some sort of division of labor based on specialty among ourselves. So we set up an organization in our initial plans, and nagkaroon din ng division of labor in the form of committees, so it would be better managed. And this evidently facilitated our plans and rendered a more efficient way of dealing with certain tasks. But of course, I still have a lot of problems, even to myself. And honestly, yung pinakamalaking problem ko siguro sa sarili ko noon din, I should have been more extroverted. I should have communicated more nga. Because back in junior high school, I was really, really, really socially anxious. I didn't even have dreams for myself. I didn't even think I could do anything. So parang basta-basta na ako sa buhay ko, and I would let others really dictate what I should do for my future. But nag-iba ito nung nag-grade 10 ako, nung nasali ako sa isa parang GI or General Information Quiz, and I really saw to myself na I could really work on this. I could really invest on this passion. So yeah, nung senior high school na lang din ako nag-start na ma-involve sarili ko or ma-familiarize yung sarili ko sa concepts of leadership and sa mga pagiging active talaga. So it's a big regret na nung junior high school ako and yung mga younger days ko pa is talagang naging super shy ako na hindi ako sumasali sa ganitong mga opportunities na binibigay sa akin noon, which really took a toll on my overall development, that I should have known certain concepts, certain things nung junior high school pa ako. And that was a big regret. Sa school ko naman, back in my school, dun sa club ko, I think isang something that I could have worked on talaga nun is to persuade or coax the school admin to really grant us carte blanche in our club, because we were really in need of time and autonomy. I think I could have done more to persuade them on that matter. So yun po siguro yung para sa akin.
Thank you very much, Sean, for sharing. Naalala ko nung sinabi mo yung I should have been more extroverted. Same way, well, hindi naman ako introvert nung bata. Actually, parang hindi naman nagbago yun. From simula bata ako hanggang ngayon, I'm more of an extrovert naman. Pero hindi lang rin talaga ako nagtitake ng mga leadership tasks nung high school. Nung college na lang ako nainganyo sa mga ganitong bagay kasi, well, you know, ang original na motivation is sa resume magre-reflect na yun eh. Yung high school nung mga time namin, wala lang yun eh. Pero yeah, siguro on my end, when I was younger, when I was your age, I should have been more participative. That's the key. No, I was an extrovert, and I talk to people, I communicate a lot. No, hindi man ako mahiyain noon. Pero I guess you could say tamad akong mag-participate sa mga orgs, sa mga committees, kahit yung pag may sabayang bigkas, kung walang extra points, hindi ako sasali, parang ganon. So that's one thing din, no, na looking back and answering this same question, I should have been more participative, especially I know how to communicate naman. And yes, I enjoyed your sharings kayong tatlo. Ikaw ba, sir? Kamusta ang kanilang sharing?
Nakakatuwa kasi kita mo na may pinanghuhugutan silang pananaw patungkol sa pamumuno, paglilingkod. At kitang-kita na hindi sa sarili ang pananaw, sa iba, sa kapwa yung kanilang pananaw. Kaya may konsepto na kung tawagin ay servant leadership paglilingkod sa kapwa. Ito yung kulang sa mga pinuno natin ngayon. Yan yung kulang sa mga pinuno natin Hindi nila iniisip ang kapwa nila, iniisip nila ano magiging imahe nila sa kapwa. Iba yun sa iniisip nila yung kapwa, iniisip nila ano magiging imahe nila para mahalal ulit sila bilang pinuno. Dito makikita na dito talaga lumalabas yung konsepto ni Rizal na ang kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan. Kaya nakakatuwa itong tatlo nating student leaders, si Ezekiel, si Ayo, si Sean, na kitang-kita yung potential Kaya kitang-kita may patutunguhan din ng movement natin. At maswerte yung mga paaralan nila na may mga servant leaders sila dito. Hindi tulad ng ilan natin mga politiko.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Napakapalad ng kanilang mga paaralan at napakapalad ng ating organisasyon na kasama natin ang mga youth leaders na ito. At dahil napakaganda ng ating kwentuhan, we would love to hear more insights from them. Kaya huwag kayong aalis dahil magbabalik ang Historyal, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Nagbabalik ang Historyal, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Ako po muli, si Kevin Samson at kasama ko si Sir Jamaico at ang ating mga bisita na si Sean, Luke, and Ayo ng mga youth officers ng ating high school, Philippine History Movement. So bago tayo mag-break, ay napag-usapan natin at naikwento ng ating mga youth officers kung ano ang kanilang qualities na hinahanap sa isang mahusay at mabuting pinuno or pamumuno as an action, and kung ano yung kanilang mga experiences bilang mga youth leaders, and perhaps kung ano yung mga gusto nilang balikan kung sila ay mapagbibigyan ng pangalawang pagkakataon. So ito medyo practical or siguro simulation yung ating pangatlong tanong, no? Role play, ika nga, no? So starting today, July 9, 2021, if you are given 1 year to become President of the Philippines, napakabigat na tungkulin niya. Again, if you are given 1 year to become President of the Philippines, starting today until next year, July 9, 2021, so sabihin na natin matatapos talaga kayo, hindi June 30, kundi yung actual na year kung kailan kayo nagsimula. No? So what are 3 things would you like to prioritize? And of course, it goes without saying, bakit yung 3 bagay na yun?
Well, para po ma-distinguish po kung ano po yung mga dapat i-prioritize, dapat po ma-find out ko rin po kung ano po yung mga problem po ba na dapat na ma-assert. So, in my sa pananaw ko po, sa pagtingin ko, the biggest and topmost problem sa Pilipinas ay corruption. Sunod ay ang current dilemma natin, the pandemic, and then upcoming election. So, the first one I'll do is to command a national financial audit. Why? Because it will help us malaman where all the money went, how much was it, how much pa ang remaining. We all know na auditing can help detect fraud and ensure compliance ng bawat sector sa financial accountability. And this will be done annually. I'm sure we have this. I'm sure we're doing this. Pero I do not think na it is strictly done as it's supposed to be. So this time, it will be done annually, and then it will be strict, and all information will be reported in a very detailed way and made available sa public para makita. The records, the receipts, the calculations, and all the funds will be reassessed para magkaroon ng reallocation, and mas mabigyan po ng tamang funds yung mga dapat malagyan instead of, other things. Next, increase supervision in COVID-19 action and prioritize advice from our legitimate expert, yung ating mga professionals po talaga na may background sa medical institutions and may legit and careful research. And hopefully, through that, mag-a-advance po yung vaccination natin, ma-revise na po yung health protocols for better and better and effective one, and make healthcare accessible since may pera na po tayo, since we just reallocate funds, di ba? So, last is to increase strict supervision in the coming election. Review the voters list para ma-assure po natin to ourselves na walang fake names or walang fake voters na mapapabilang. Increase the effort po ng COMELEC to investigate before, during, and after election. Increase sanctions, of course, din sa violators. And educate the public how important our votes are, our participation, how sensitive the counts, the numbers, and then, of course, to realize the consequence if we voted with the wrong reason. I'm not saying na this is solely kasalanan ng voters, but I am highlighting na if we give more effort we increase effort ng COMELEC to give education po, ma-realize ng ating citizens na yung integrity po natin as voters has really a big impact. So, ayun po yung 3 things na gagawin ko. Financial audit, national, increase supervision sa COVID-19 and all sa efforts doon. And then empower the COMELEC. Yun po.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ayo, for sharing those 3 plans of yours kung sakali ikaw ang maging Pangulo ng Pilipinas starting today. And Luke!
Hello po. So, alam naman po natin na bilang isang gampanin, bilang isang presidente ng ating bansa, sobrang daming ang tawag din, responsibility kasi unang-una ikaw na yung head of the state, ikaw pa yung head of the government natin. So, ibig sabihin, kung mabibigyan po ako ng pagkakataon na maging presidente ng ating bansa sa loob ng 1 taon, uunahin ko po muna yung pagtukla sa problema ng ating educational system. Makikita natin yung ating mga paaralan sa mga iba't ibang syudad or dito sa ating bansa na halos 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours a day pumapasok ang mga estudyante, samantalang sa mga ibang bansa na makikita natin na sobrang taas ng mga IQ nila na samantalang pumapasok lang sila at least 6 hours a day. So isa yun sa mga gusto kong bigyang pansin at isa pa din dito yung pagbabago sa ating curriculum, no? Kasi sobrang daming pagkahamali na meron sa ating curriculum. Halimbawa na lamang dyan, syempre sa ating movement, yung pagtanggal ng Philippine history, no, sa high school. Kasi parang syempre nung grade 6 ako, doon na nag-stop yung Philippine history ko. Then yung pagka-grade 7 ko, Asian history. Then pagdating ko ng first year college, may na kami, readings in the Philippine history. So ang laki ng year gap sa pag-aaral ng Philippine history. Isa din yun sa gusto kong gampanan. And also, isa pang gusto kong gampanan, yung paggamit ng Filipino bilang isang priority language sa ating bansa, sa educational system ng bansa natin. Kasi kung makikita natin sa China or whatsoever country, ang ginagamit nilang lengguwahe sa pagtuturo is yung lengguwaheng ginagamit nila. And siguro dahil po doon, makikita po natin na yung mismong lengguwahe ng bawat bansa o mismong lengguwahe natin na sinasalita ngayon ay siguro isa din yun sa magiging isang susi natin. Bilang sa ganun ay makabuo tayo ng mga magagandang mga pananiliksik, mga magagandang mga pag-aaral para sa ganun po ay may unlad po natin ang ating lipunan at makatulong na din po tayo sa ating kapwa. Kasi naniniwala po ako dun sa sinasabi ni Confucius. Yung sa isang sinasabi ni Confucius na kung anong natutunan mo ngayong araw ay should be put into action. And dun sa action na yun ay makakagawa ka pa ng mga bagong bagay para sa ikabubuti ng ating bayan. So, ang susunod ko po na gusto ko pong bigyang priority sa sa aking administrasyon kung magiging presidente man ako na isang taon, since sa COVID-19, kung paano tayo nagsastruggle. Kasi kung makikita natin, like, yesterday night, nakita ko sa Amerika, naka 15 dose na siya ng vaccine. Nakakataka. Sabi ko, samantalang dito sa Pilipinas, makikita natin na first dose o second dose, hirap na tayo. Samantalang sa mga ibang bansa, like for the US, kasi nakita ko talaga 15 dose. Samantalang dito sa Pilipinas, gigising ka ng kaya aga-aga ng alauna, pipila ka dun sa mga COVID vaccine sites para magpabakuna. And, well, in fact, limited lang yung mga supply natin for it. So, isa din yun sa mga gusto kong bigyan priority. Sabi ko nga, bakit yung government natin ngayon bakit nagfo-focus yung government natin ngayon sa mga proyekto na parang wala namang saysay, even though in the middle of the pandemic, nagpasara sila ng isang, sabihin natin, ABS-CBN, pinasara nila yon. Sabi ko, in the middle of the pandemic, ba't nila yun ginawa? Bakit nila pinasa yung, anong tawag din sa bill na yun? I forgot the bill. Ano yung tawag sa bill na yun? Anti-terrorism bill na law na ngayon. Sabi ko, ba't nila ginawa to in the middle of the pandemic? Bakit ayaw nila mag-focus sa mismong problema kinaharap natin ngayon, which is yung COVID-19 pandemic. At dahil doon, sobrang daming factors na nakaka-affect. Unang-una yung sa mga trabaho ng ating mga magulang. Makikita natin, just like nung pumunta ako last week sa isang fast food chain fast food chain, ang pasok niya lang is MWF. Then yung sweldo niya is kalahati na lang doon sa sweldo natatanggap niya during nung wala pang pandemic. Makikita din natin dyan yung sa pangalawang sasabihin ko, sa mga estudyante, hindi lahat ng mga courses ay mapag-aaralan online. Paano gagawa ng isang building ang isang engineer kung hindi niya alam or hindi siya nakakapag face-to-face kung paano niya talagang susukatin yung tamang measurement ng bawat I forget basta yung bawat sukat ng bawat materials na gagamitin niya. Ang isang nakakalungkot kasi meron pa akong pinsan na nag-aaral sa UP Los Baños, agricultural engineering po yung course niya. Tinanong ko siya, sabi ko, uy, ang dami mo namang lupa. Sabi ko, saan mo yung gagamitin? So sabi niya sa akin, gagamitin niya daw to sa project. Sabi ko, so ibig sabihin funded dyan ng school niya. Sabi niya, hindi. Nagtaka ako, sabi ko, paano yung mga iba mga kaklase na wala namang ganyang pera? Saan sila kukuha? So ang daming factors na nakaka-affect tong pandemic na to na gusto kong bigyang priority para sa ganun, mamuhay naman tayo kung saan yung mga kabataan natin ngayon, sila kasi magsisilbing parang mga flowers, kumbaga. Kasi yung mga natututunan namin ngayon during online, siguro malaking effect ang mangyari ito pagka-graduate namin at kung mag-face na kami sa working field namin. And lastly, ang gusto kong bigyang priority sa aking pagiging isang presidente. So, 3-in-1 dun sa pinakahuli is yung pagsasaayos ng justice system ng Pilipinas and the legalization of divorce and same-sex marriage in our country. Makikita natin sa bawat bansa, legal na ang divorce and same-sex marriage. Yung sa divorce, gusto ko siyang i-legalize kasi yung bawat pamilya na nakapaghiwalay na yung mother or yung father nila, sobrang laking effect nito sa magiging anak. Kasi according to sa research na nabasa ko, ma-affect ito sa mental na pag-iisip ng bata. Away ng dalawang magulang ay makaka-apekto ito sa magulang. So, dahil doon, yung mental health ng bata, hindi na ganun ka-stable para sa kanya. Yung legalization of the same-sex marriage, sabi ko naman sa sarili ko, wala naman tayong natatapakan na batas. Although yung family code, we could revise it kasi hindi naman siya yung constitution na meron tayo. Pero same-sex marriage should be legalized. Sabi nga ni Karl Marx dun sa nabasa ko, kaya daw tayo nagkakaroon ng chaos o para mga kaguluhan sa society natin dahil meron tayong pagbabagong yun. Dahil sa pagbabago daw na meron tayo yun, ay maaari tayong makakamit ng parang society na gusto nating makamit. So, yung same-sex marriage kasi, so, although yung country natin is a conservative one kasi, syempre, nandiyan pa din yung kapangyarihan ng simbahan. Pero we should recognize the separation of the church and the state. Pero we all do respect naman yung church, yung paninindigan ng church. Pero naman, yung happiness ng tao na gusto niyang makasama yung taong yun, even though na same-sex siya, yung happiness na nadadama ng taong yun. Kasi yung live-in is not enough to prove for them yung happiness na gusto nilang makamit. But for a lifetime love na gusto nilang makamit, yung everlasting love na yun. And also, ang gusto kong i-point out doon sa same-sex marriage na yun is that hindi lang naman siya yung parang sasabihin natin, kaming mga nasa LGBT, ano na kami, we are on the top na parang underestimate na namin ibang gender. No, yung same-sex marriage kasi yun, ang dami nating makakamit doon. Although sometimes, meron namang mga taong nasa LGBT na ayaw yung pag-approve ng same-sex marriage, pero for the common good of all, yung happiness na yun for everyone. And also yung sa pagtukla sa problema ng legal system ng ating Pilipinas. Nakakalungkot kasi merong mga ibang kaso, napanood ko to kahit series lang siya sa How to Get Away with Murder. Sabi ko, nakakalungkot kasi meron palang mga ganitong tao na nakakulong na pero hindi naman pala sila guilty sa batas or hindi naman pala sila guilty. So nakakalungkot. Sabi ko, what if more, 'di ba, kung tayo na on the working field, tapos meron tayong makita mga ganitong kaso, yung mga na-oppress sa ating lipunan, sila yung para bang inaano sila, sinasakal sila ng ating gobyerno. Kung kaya't sobrang laki ng gampanan natin ngayon na darating election. Tama yung sinasabi ni Ayo na ngayong sa darating na eleksyon, sa mga aking nakikinig ngayon sa podcast, magparehistro na kayo. Kasi naniniwala ako sa sinasabi ni Mahatma Gandhi, be the change that you wanted to see in the world. So, ibig sabihin, yung pagbabago yung darating na kung gagamitin natin yung pagboboto natin sa tamang pamamaraan. Huwag tayong maniwala sinasabi ng ating mga politiko na, pag ako binoto nyo, itong mga gagawin ko, ganyan gagawin ko. I mean, I don't know kung maniniwala pa ako sa kanila kasi ever since nung namulat ako nung katotohanan, when I was 9 years old, sinabi sa akin ng grandmother ko na, ikaw ba kakandidato ka, ganito kasi problema ang kinakarap nating bansa. Namulat na ako nun. Since then, from 9 years old until right now, wala pa din ako nakikita mga proyektong tinapatupad nila, although some, pero hindi pa din yun yung parang ultimate na mga projects na hinahangad ko dun sa sinasabi nila. Kung kaya't ito yung mga gusto kong bigyang priority sa akin administrasyon. Although meron pa tayong mga iba't ibang mga problema kinaharap sa ating bansa, ngunit itong gusto kong bigyang solusyon sa ating bansa para sa ganun maging payapa naman at sa ganun ay magkaroon naman tayo ng pagkakaisa sa bawat Pilipino. Ayun lang po. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Luke, for your sharing. Sean, your turn.
Hello po. Adagdagan ko lang po siguro yung sa idea na naggagawa namang promises yung mga politiko pero hindi natutupad. And this raises in me a question about the mandate of these politicians. Sisingit ko lang naman po ito. And I really question kung pasok pa ba sa mandate nila kung hindi na nila gawin yung pinromise nila sa mga tao dahil hindi naman yun yung binoto nila. So parang open question lang naman po yun kung nandun pa ba yung mandate nila and kung liable na ba sila in a very philosophical sense sa kanilang sa pananatili sa pwesto nila. But aside from that, siguro sa three priorities ko po going into that question, of course I think the utmost priority anyone would mention in virtually all places in the world is about the pandemic. This is the most demanding responsibility that any leader would face, considering that a multi-sectoral approach is essential to mitigate this pestilence and render punctually and effectively the relief needed by people. It also requires a multi-pronged strategy. So, kailangan mo i-address dito hindi lang sa public health at sa international transactions, but that which gives particular focus or yung policy dapat ng isang government is that which gives particular focus on education, the private sector, and the masses. As much as national survivability is concerned, sustainability and stability must be considered. Kaya nga sinasabi natin sa education, we would want to secure initiatives in cooperation with multiple sectors na mag-a-allow for instance, limited face-to-face classes in low-risk areas while still allowing for alternatives to not block the option of parents who, as we all know, or as we understand them to be, they are skeptical of this initiative. But these, I think, would not really suffice, or yung initiatives na to would not really suffice. And yung mga ginagawa ng pamahalaan ngayon, it's really just a band-aid solution. Kailangan yung endgame pa rin natin is yung vaccination efforts. And itong modality kasi ito, it's really new. And we cannot expect at all to depend on this modality as something permanent. So, Kaya it must be complemented by consistent and exponential vaccination efforts facilitated by schools and even the business sector na sa aking mga napanood at mga nabasa, yung business sector, they're just as frustrated. Joblessness is on the rise. Even last year, kung saan akala natin nagiging flat na yung COVID curve. But of course, we saw eventually na bigla nag-spike up na naman ito. We saw that unemployment just kept rising from 3.8 million noong October 2020, naging 4 million by January 2021. And businesses just continue to shut down. So, malaking point of attention rin dapat ang bigay natin sa private sector who have given so much, who have done a lot of measures just to see consumer confidence bounce back from the pandemic. But most importantly, sa pandemic na ito, I think it's crucial to acknowledge that the extent to which our shared goal to this pandemic could actually be actualized is with efficiency is by putting up actual professionals who are specialized, especially with the technical knowledge, on the responsibilities that they will possess as potential heads of agencies, departments, and yung mga task force natin. Kailangan in proper keeping sila with the particular and technical complexities that is demanded from their positions, sa job descriptions nila. And for instance, sa pandemic, kailangan meron silang technical knowledge talaga kung paano yung magiging proseso, the means and ways, and yung mga plano para masolusyonan ito. So basically, a technocracy. Expertise should be the basis for organizing political power. Para na rin halimbawa maiwasan natin yung mga delays, for instance, yung yung failing to secure certain requirements sa pag-procure ng vaccine noong February, even though it had already been made known prior na kailangan ng indemnity para ma-secure yung Pfizer. So it had already been made known months prior, pero nakalimutan pa rin natin ito. Although small delay lang ito, it still speaks a lot sa quality ng government ngayon. For the second priority siguro, ang magandang i-consider ay yung pag-reinforce ng cultural and historical link or sense of culture and history sa mga tao at sa mga institutions natin. Isang malaking hakbang na yung pag-bring back ng Philippine history sa high school. But we shouldn't limit it to subjects like Filipino or AP because education, the end game should be that education is Filipinized. Dapat rin nating bigyan focus yung sariling wika natin, which I agree with Ezekiel. Dapat ito ibigyan natin ng focus sa pagtuturo. Minsan pinagdedebatihan pa natin kung dapat maggamitin ng English instead of Filipino para global citizen tayo. Even though sentido común na ito sa ibang bansa like China, Japan, dapat talagang mahasa muna tayo sa sariling wika, sa L1, dahil ito yung wikang ginagamit sa immediate community natin at mas makakakonekta tayo sa masa. Hindi sila magiging alienated, for example, sa pagtatalakay ng issue sa pamahalaan. Kasi sometimes ginagamitan to ng mga politicians ng highfalutin and jargon para lang magmukha silang matalino. And I think I've seen a study before, yung sa World Bank, 2021, very recent siya, and ito rin yata yung nireplyan ni DepEd Secretary Briones, yung World Bank Study 2021, and this made me remember sa sinulat ni Renato Constantino, The Miseducation of the Filipino, and sa pagkakaintindi ko dito sa study ng World Bank, barrier ang pag-prioritize natin masyado sa pagiging bilingual ng mga kabataan para sa proficiency nila sa mga subjects. And ito, i-quote ko ito sa mula sa article ng Inquirer which covered this study. And it says, quote, "This difficulty in achieving proficiency in the subjects taken up in school stem from a lack of understanding the languages in which they were taught. In the case of mathematics and science, the English language," unquote. And this raises another question in me. Ano pa kaya pagdating sa extent of understanding ng mga Pilipino sa social issues natin kung saan lubusang binabawasan pa ang oportunidad nating magkaroon ng kaalaman at kamalayan sa kasaysayan natin, sa lipunan natin. So, I think central ito dahil it really deals with a system responsible for nurturing the future stewards of our country, yung magmamana ng lahat in every changing epoch, basically yung kabataan. And lastly, siguro, sabitan ko na lang po ito, lastly, it's high time that the state steps in strongly and relentlessly to suppress the culture that perpetuates social disparities and discrimination. Wide ang scope ng discrimination, and it could cover gender discrimination, ableism, and even those that go as far as red tagging. Just we're not in the Cold War. Ano to, McCarthy? But we must be careful in our approach since we might possibly alienate strong elements in our country, from the state forces to those extremely conservative. So, consolidation between the government, civil society organizations, and the private sector coupled with institutional reforms allowing for safer and more inclusive spaces, should be eyed in pursuit of this. So yeah, I think these are very general priorities lang naman na sa tingin ko ay malaking hakbang para mailagay sa right path ang lipunan natin.
Thank you very much, Sean, for your sharing. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagbabahagi ng inyong mga priorities kung sakaling kayo ay maging Pangulo mula sa araw na to hanggang sa susunod na taon. Pwede na pala sila maging designated survivors kung sakaling kailangan ng designated survivors, no? And that is true. Tulad nga ng mga nabanggit na ng ating leaders at tulad ng kanilang mga ikinuwento sa atin at tulad ng kanilang mga proposals kung sakaling sila ay magiging Pangulo. Leadership is not an easy task, nor it is a trivial one. It is a noble task that must be done responsibly, but even more responsibly should we choose our leaders. For our choice of leaders realizes our aspirations and visions for our society and nation. Let me end with this excerpt from the novel Parable of Talents by Octavia Butler. Choose your leaders with wisdom and forethought. To be led by a coward is to be controlled by all that the coward fears. To be led by a fool is to be led by the opportunist who control the fool. To be led by a thief is to offer up your most precious treasures to be stolen. To be led by a liar is to ask to be told lies. To be led by a tyrant is to sell yourself and those you love into slavery. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga bisita na si Sean, Luke, and Ayo at maraming salamat sa ating mga tagapakinig ngayong araw. Sana po ay meron tayong natutuhan sa episode na ito. Abangan po ninyo kami muli sa susunod. Ako po ang inyong lingkod na si Kevin Samson at ito ang Historeal, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Paalam at maraming salamat. Bye-bye po.
Maraming salamat po. Ingat po.
Bye-bye. Ingat.